Okay. I'm gonna try to go through this while I walk. I don't know how bad the traffic noise is gonna be. Okay. If you are online at all, especially if you go to places like Facebook groups or, oh hell, you go anywhere, any social media, and you say anything at all about anything at all, you can say the sky is blue, you're going to get flamed. You're going to get some raging jackass says, no, you're a moron, you're lying, it's fake news, I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill your family. Okay. Absolutely every single person who ever goes into any kind of social media runs into that mentality. I could go into great depth about that. Maybe for another one I will. They're just a pain in the ass, okay? They're a pain in the ass. YouTubers, people with YouTube channels especially, run into these fools. They're called trolls with a capital T. Just go Google these two words, internet troll, and you'll see the psychological explanations of what these people are about. And all the psychologists agree, and it's pretty clear what they're up to. They're just trash human beings. Okay. Knowing what they are doesn't really help dealing with them, especially if you're a big YouTuber and you're getting 10 or 50 or 100,000 comments a day. Some of these guys are dealing with a negative percentage of maybe 50, even 70%. Just threatening, idiot, foolish trolls. Okay. So what do you do with those guys? You delete them, you block them, and that's that. The trouble is you get really, really tired of having to do that. So places like YouTube, they've set up filters. So when the trolls use certain keywords, they automatically get blocked. You don't ever see their stuff. YouTube is kind of unique in that after they're blocked, they can keep right on posting. And if they go to the channel, to that video where they commented, their comment is still there. And they think, aha, I got away with it. I showed these guys I'm the smart one. Well, what they don't realize is they're the only people on the planet who can see their own comments. Nobody else can. Nobody else wants to. So, anyway, there's a million ways to deal with them. Every once in a while, though, you run across some son of a bitch that requires more than just a little spanking. We had one years ago. I was the owner of a tattoo school. And we were doing good. We were just going right along. We were growing really well. And I needed to hire more instructors. And we had one girl got hired, and she was going to start in the next week or two, something like that. And she made an announcement on our company website saying that, just announcing she was going to be she was going to start instructing on such and such a date, and she looked forward to meeting everybody, and yada yada. And nobody thought anything about it. All the other employees had done the same thing. Within 24 hours, she started getting these nasty, threatening, overtly threatening physical violence messages from what we presumed was a guy. And she didn't know who he was. We found a picture of him, which we didn't know for sure if that was, his real picture or what, but he was so over the top and so threatening that I decided, okay, that's just enough of this guy. And we turned him into the police. And of course the police did what you would expect. They did absolutely nothing. Wouldn't even reply to us. Wouldn't even acknowledge the criminal complaint, wouldn't reply. And it was just typical police, you know. And then they wonder why people turn vigilante. Well, that's why. It was going to continue this way. So we're trying to figure out what to do next. We were in a big city. We had no idea where this guy or girl or they, them, it, us, we, horse, dog, donkey, we don't know, whatever the hell he was. We didn't know where he was or really what to do about him. Went and talked to a friend who was an attorney, cost me nothing. And she said, well, why don't you just subpoena his internet records? And she explained the process, and I thought, oh, well, I don't know, sounds kind of weird, but, you know, we'll try it because we got to get this guy. And so it turns out that you can subpoena, you can serve anybody with any kind of a subpoena as long as you have an open court case. Okay, do you need a lawyer? No. So the first thing we did was we took copies of his messages to the anti-harassment court, and we filed for anti-harassment against John Doe. No idea what his name was. He was using some stupid handle, you know, because he's a real brave guy. And so we got it before the judge, said, look, you know, we're scared of this guy, and we want a, what do you call it? God, my memory is just, anyway, anti-harassment order. And the judge looked at the stuff and said, oh yeah, baby, you got it. So, as of that moment, we had an open court case. And we set the hearing to be quite a ways out, like 6 weeks out, so that we had time to do what we had to do. And then, to make sure that this could not fall through, we filed a small claims court lawsuit against him. And our claim was for, I don't know, $50,000, whatever. We just made up a figure, saying that he had insulted us publicly, which he had, and it was costing us that much in business. And small claims court didn't have a choice. They take the case. And we asked for a trial date that was way far out, a couple of months, so that we were sure we had time to do what we needed to do. Okay, so there we had 2 active court cases against John Doe. And then we got to work. And what we did was we went to a friend of our friend who was an attorney, said, hey, we don't want to hire you, we don't want to do anything. We just want to serve a couple of subpoenas. And he was like, okay. And I don't remember what the cost was. It was very cheap. It was like $25 or $50. We had to fill out the forms. And he just said, okay. And he stamped them, sent them in. And one was to the ISP, because we had the guy's IP address. That was easy to get. If you don't have the person's IP address, you got to file another subpoena with like Facebook or X or YouTube or whatever, and they must comply with the subpoena. They must give you the IP address of the offender. And we already had this IP address, so we didn't need to do that. His IP address showed up in our own servers. So we had his IP address. We knew, we traced down the IP. As I recall, it was a Verizon IP, but I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. And so we drafted up the subpoena to Verizon, or whoever it was, sent it off, said, we have 2 court orders against this guy, open cases, and he did this and this and this, and we need every scrap of information you've got. God bless him, on this individual. About 10 days later, it all showed up, big package. We had his real name, his real address. We had all of the times he had accessed the internet through that carrier, and to what websites he went, and included hours, many times visiting hours. He only made, he was only on there like 6 times, making shitty, threatening comments. But he was on there many times. For what, I don't know. His comment, his last comment, the one that really torqued the judge, was this. And he said, in writing, on our website, to the girl, to the new hire, he said, "You're a piece of shit," or whatever, a couple of derogatory remarks. And then he said, "When I find you, I'm going to cut your fucking fingers off." Okay, nice guy, real piece of shit. So, we get this package from Verizon or whoever. We go through the data. It turns out he is the owner of a sewing machine shop in some state across the country. And I don't know, it's all in the records. It doesn't matter where he was. He was in like Duluth, Minnesota or something. And we could find no record that he had ever been in our state. We did a public data dump on him. Couldn't find any record that any of his relatives had ever visited our state. This guy's just a loon. He thinks he's invisible. He's hiding behind that router like they all do. And these people would never say this shit, face to face, because they know they lose their teeth and maybe their life. So they won't do that. They'll hide behind their router. And then they think they can snipe and flame with impunity. And from that point on, we had him by the ass. This is what our local police should have done in the first place. But of course they're incompetent, so they didn't. We had to do the legwork. So we had all the documentation now. We turned it into his police department as a criminal threat of violence, of death. Well, violence. So it didn't say killer, he just said he would cut her fingers off. And his police department handled it very nicely. So that's our routine for finding shitholes on the internet. You can find, probably 49 out of 50 of them just like that. Altogether, it took probably a month and a half, 2 months. Total cost was under $100. I don't remember exactly. And we got him by the short hairs, got him by the scrotum, we hung him out to dry. We then went cuckoo crazy. I was also very well trained in First Amendment, and I used it very extensively, and we made sure that every person he ever came in contact with, and every person he ever will come in contact with, had access to the website about him. And we never heard from him again. We suggest you reserve that for really just the shittiest cases, because if you did that for every single one of them, you know, you'd be filing cases 8 times a day, and nobody has time for that, or the patients, or you know, it's not good to dwell in that dark negative layer of souls anyway. But every once in a while one comes along that you're duty bound to nail, and that's how you do it. There are some other tricks and things to it. Jesus Christ. Fuck. God, they just don't look. They don't look and they don't care. God damn it. So anyway, if you got better ideas on how to do this, things you have actually done, or if you have questions that if I didn't explain something as well as I should have, drop it in the comments. Sometimes we read them, sometimes we don't. But that's how it's done. There's other ways to do it. If something happens and that doesn't work, there are other ways to do it. Some of these guys need to be shut down, and that's all there is to it. In the old days, everybody lived in a small town. Somebody pulled a stunt like that, you know, they would lose their teeth instantly, and maybe a lot more. But we don't live in small towns anymore. It's a global community now. Incidentally, does this work internationally? It can. It doesn't always, but it can. Okay. Happy hunting.